I'll move on to the second essential for a fruitful life. The second essential for a fruitful life is moisture. Moisture. Trees need water. Trees need water. Yes, even the hardest tree, the one that you find alone in the middle of the Sahara Desert or the Kalahari Desert or the Namib Desert, and there is no other tree around it, that tree still needs water. What does water speak to? Water speaks to the issue of emotional and mental nourishment. Emotional and mental nourishment. Very, very, very important. Without the right mental and emotional development, you would struggle. There are so many people I have come across in life who you realize that the soil was good. They went to a good school, they had good parenting, they had money at home and all that. But the lack of moisture, what does a lack of moisture do to a tree? It becomes dry. It becomes dry. You see the tree shriveling and withering and all that. The last thing you want is to have foundation, potential, but no emotional nourishment. Haven't you seen rich people commit suicide? Yeah, think about it. Rich people committing suicide. They had money. I mean, rich people from rich homes committing suicide, they had money. But emotional and mental nourishment, it's one of the foundations of a great life and a fruitful life. So it's something we also touch on in the book as well. We talk about your spiritual resources. Your spiritual resources. So after foundation and potential, one of the things we're talking about is the nourishment you get from the mental and the emotional state. And I'm also talking about the spiritual as well, right? The kinds of things that, because life itself would require you to be nourished consistently. Otherwise, you would give up. The prophet Elijah, we told he ran away and he needed food. Jesus himself, the Lord himself, at a point needed some and I'm not talking of that. So there are two times Bible talks about Jesus really going through a temptation. A lot of times we talk about a temptation of the devil, and he took him to this place and said, order the stones to be made into bread. That one, you realize the Bible said that after he was hungered and then angels came to minister unto him. That's not even the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about the second time, this one in the garden, right? He needed nourishment. He needed some kind of fortitude to move on to the next phase, because the next phase of his life was carrying off a cross and being whipped and being betrayed by people and all that. So you need emotional and mental nourishment. You clearly need emotional and mental nourishment. Otherwise, you would struggle. Intellectual resources, mentally, there are things that life would expect from you, and if you don't have the mental fortitude, you would give up. So yes, soil is one, emotional and mental is the next one. Moisture. You need to be nourished. I actually think that is a reason why, and this is just me thinking aloud, which is what on this channel I do a lot. I think that is why there are studies that show that people in happy marriages actually tend to do better in life as a whole, especially even in the area of wealth creation and all that. It's said that people like that tend to do well. And I'm going to tell you why. I think it's mainly because these people are blessed with someone they can go home to and have a conversation with. If you're all alone and you had a bad day, who are you going to talk to? Who are you going to go to and say, I had a bad day, and what do you think, and all that? Listen to a number of these great folks, and they will tell you that my better half had a lot to do with how I made it and all that. It's all about emotional nourishment. It's about you being very, very nourished to face the day. So this is how I see it. You wake up in the morning, you go to work, you come home dry. you come home dry. If you don't have any source of replenishing that loss of moisture, if there is nothing to moisturize you wake up the next day, you go to work drier and come home driest. That for me is something that is key. So emotional nourishment is very, very important. Emotional nourishment, it's very, very emotional, and also the mental nourishment as well. People need to understand that to have a fruitful life, you need to be nourished consistently. Nourishment is also about consistency, not once in a while kind of a thing, but something that you do always, something that you get always. Otherwise, you're going to get to a point in your life where you would need someone and you wouldn't get the person there, right? Which is another area of nourishment. Another area of nourishment that I want you to think about is relationships. And this time, I'm not even talking of familial relationship or family relationships. I'm talking about friends. Friends. Nothing beats having good friends around you. Nothing beats having good friends around you. Friends who will tell you that this thing we're struggling or something. Friends that would come to you and for me, one of the best things about friendships are people who can call my bluff, or people who can speak to you, because if they can call your bluff, they can nourish you as well. If you don't have anybody speaking into your life, you don't have the nourishment that you need. Trust me, you become a god on yourself. And then if they cannot tell you when you are wrong, they can also not help you when you need help. Think about that. If they can't tell you when you're wrong, they can't help you when you need help, because hey, you're a god on yourself. If anybody talks, you bite their head off. Who is going to come to you? And then also, when you assume that posture in life, what that does is that you also then begin to lose the good people around you. And listen, there is a proverb in our part of the world where it says that human beings are tasty, but we don't eat them. Right? Human beings are tasty, but we don't eat them. It is simply because you need people. You need people to help in your nourishment. So it is very, very important that you do that. You are clear in your minds about that. Then I'll move to the issue still on nourishment: empathy and care. Cultivating empathy and care. It is something I said in the book, that empathy and care represents the profound human capacities that transform individual existence into a rich, interconnected experience. A rich, interconnected experience. The empathy, the fellow feeling. Listen, so many people who've gotten into trouble in this life, it's simply because they didn't grow up cultivating empathy. They never received, so they didn't know how to give. And you can't give what you don't have. Excuse me. Let me charge this thing. I hope they don't take it out of the editing. Because, I don't really mind. My laptop is running out of juice, so I have to do it. But I know the editors might take it out. I don't really mind. Anyway, so yes, another angle of your work is about the empathy that you are able to cultivate among people. And then how do you cultivate empathy? One area is through active listening. Active listening. So many people, you're looking at him, you're having a conversation with him, and you know that he's just waiting for you to finish that he say what he wants to say. That is not it. So, okay, so please let me plug in. No, I did it out. My friend, you know that I make these mistakes a lot. So, anyway, another way in which you can also look at nourishment, which is the moisture part, is your ability to navigate challenging emotions. Your ability to navigate challenging emotions. You lose a loved one. It's a challenging emotion of loss, of all the sadness and all that. It is important that you are able to manage that. I speak about that at length in the book. Emotions are important. We are largely emotional beings. We tend to think we are logical beings, but yes, we have logic, but we're largely emotional beings. So it's important that we understand how to do these things. What are some of the ways the book advises on how to keep yourself nourished, or how to ensure that you are always refreshed? It talks about journaling, and writing, keeping a diary like some people would do, and also artistic expression. Artistic expression is also another way in which you can keep yourself nourished. And then creative practices, also very important. Prayer, meditation, reading good books are all ways in which you can manage your emotions and keep yourself well nourished with moisture that leads to a fruitful life. So number one, I've spoken about the soil, which is your background, the potential. Number two is moisture, which is the issues of your emotional and mental nourishment.